Hello everyone, my name is Justin, and today I would like to talk about cybersecurity. Everyone here knows that cybersecurity has grown tremendously in the recent decade. The advantage of cyber attacks is that people can use it against terrorism. As technology continues to advance within the last decade, cyber attacks have become increasingly more common. It is burdening that the concern people have for cybersecurity is incredibly minimal. Cyber attacks can directly and indirectly affect many individuals and countries. First, hackers can easily breach one's personal identity. Second, governments' confidential information can be released by cyber criminals. Third, it can cause chaos within different countries. While there should be more regulation on cybersecurity, perhaps a better solution would be to cooperate globally and establish laws to regulate cybercrime. Cybersecurity has begun to grow in the recent decade. The definition of cybersecurity is also known as information technology security, focusing on protecting computers, networks, programs, and data from unintended or unauthorized access, change, or destruction. For many years, cyber attacks were rare and almost unheard of. However, now it seems as if the issue continues to grow. Cybersecurity can be used for many different purposes. Some use it for access to unauthorized information, while others use it to provide safety against potential attacks. Whether or not cyber attacks are used in a positive or negative manner is subject to change, thus making this issue highly controversial. Cybersecurity has some major advantages, which challenge the negative effects. As a result of cybersecurity, around the country, our computer and network system are protected from potential threats from hackers. Beyond our own personal information, cybersecurity professionals help to secure our country's information from being released. With an increase in internet security, the level of cybercrime has decreased tremendously. The ultimate goals of cybersecurity have shown to be effective in ultimately benefiting us and improving our safety as well. Although cybersecurity can effectively prevent future attacks, it entails many risks as well. Firstly, many civilians' personal identity can be breached through cyber attacks. According to sources, approximately 15 million US citizens have their identities used each year, with financial losses totaling of 50 billion US dollars. Breaches happen in various ways, from individually tailored phishing scams to increasingly successful hacks of corporate and government database, to elaborate network designed to hijack millions of computers without any trace. Unfortunately, this leaves civilians susceptible to a multitude of potential cybercrime. Not only does this involve identity hackers, but the issue of international hackers begin to unfold as a result. Secondly, the American government is left susceptible to heinous information breaches. The unauthorized information that is released could be detrimental to the country. Unfortunately, international information breaches are more common than one would expect. In the most recent case of cyber breach, hackers retrieved private information on 21.5 million people of the federal government's background check database, which calls for high-level resignation in the Office of Personnel Management. Once hacked, it is difficult to be 100% confident in who administered the attack, which then leads to issues between different powers. If this information was put into the wrong hands, the repercussion would be devastating. It is important to preserve the confidentiality of the country and to retain the safety of the citizens. Lastly, the effects of the cybercrime began to cause division and chaos between different nations. Many of the cyber attacks on the United States have been administered from various countries. When different countries participate in numerous cybercrimes, it causes fear and controversies. For example, the Chinese military breach on the United States has caused much apprehension and tension between those two superpowers. In recent years, the US has been publicly breached by the Russian and Chinese governments, each resulting in tension between those two regions. The extensive cyber attacks launched from China targeting US core economic, military, and strategic interests pose a major threat to this delicate phase in US and China relations. Cyber breaches cause conflict and tensions between foreign countries, and even allied forces may be affected. Although the information obtained may be helping to one's country, the repercussions are far worse than the reward. In order for countries to coincide, the amount of cyber attacks needs to decrease. Besides all polarities of cybersecurity, the danger does exist within. The extensive amount of invasive security breaches need to decrease in order for our country and nations around the world to coincide properly. Cyber attacks have brought more harm than proven beneficial and have caused serious consequences for many different nations. However, it is highly beneficial to protect the citizens of this country from devastating attacks. In order to serve constituents, cybercrime laws need to be heavily regulated at domestic and global levels. Due to the increasingly sophisticated, frequent, and disruptive nature of cyber attacks, such an attack on critical infrastructure could be significantly disrupted and potentially devastating. Director of National Intelligence James Clapper stated, "Cyber attacks is the greatest threat to U.S. national security." Clapper also says that critical infrastructure, the physical and virtual assets, system, and networks vital to the nation's economic security, health, and safety is vulnerable to cyber attacks by foreign governments. When we open our country up to unregulated cyber attacks, security of the citizens, the protection of the government, and the relations of fellow countries are divided and diminished. With the expansion of cybersecurity laws, our country's safety will be enhanced as well as the safety of the people.